I read somewhere that in the US alone, billions of dollars sit in unclaimed accounts every year. So item 1, do you have a will? And have you considered whether a trust is right for you? If you have life insurance, tell one person that it exists, where the policy document is, and the name of the insurance company. Who would raise the kids if something happened? If you have any children, listen close. Is there a designated guardian in writing? Not assumed, not discussed once over dinner and then never revisited. Legacy isn't a document. It's not in a bank account. It's everything you meant to say. So have you said it? I don't know. Welcome back to Shifted on Purpose. I'm Bola, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's take a quick look at where we've been. In episode 1, I told you what nobody warned me about, and that grief doesn't arrive alone. It comes with a to-do list, and that love without preparation leaves gaps. And then in episode 2, we talked about the conversation that I almost had with my mom, the one that I let slip past me. We also talked about 4 types of grievers and which one you might be. And then today, episode 3, we're going to be talking to a 5th person, the one who's still here, the one who still has time, the one who can actually do something about it. And that's where today comes in. We get practical, and I mean literally. We're not just going to name these 15 items. We're actually going to talk about what they actually look like in real life. What happens when you have them? What happens when you don't? And what one step forward looks like for each one of them. And so today, I'm going to be walking through the Future Readiness Check. Every single item in plain language, no legal jargon, just an honest look at where you stand today and one clear place to start. If you haven't already grabbed your copy of the Future Readiness Check, please pause right now and go to shiftedonpurpose.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page where you can subscribe, enter your first name and email address, and it will be in your inbox within minutes. And if you don't see it for whatever reason, please go to your spam, promotions folder, junk mail, what have you. All right, are you ready? Let's go. Last week, I told you about the conversation I let go. Today, I want to talk to you about something most of us let sit. Not a conversation, but a plan. Because there's another version of letting go. It's the planning that's sitting on the shelf. You know that book, the one that's sitting on the shelf right now that you had fully intended to read and you just haven't gotten around to yet? The one that's been there long enough that it has actually collected dust on it. The one that you keep telling yourself that you'll get to this weekend. Maybe next weekend. Definitely end of this month. And now it's been 3 years. That is exactly what most people do with planning. They think about it. They mean to do it. They might have even started, maybe a will in a drawer somewhere, life insurance policy nobody knows about, a folder labeled important that nobody has ever opened before. But the full picture, the complete plan, the conversation, it's sitting on the shelf right next to that book. And here's what I've learned. Having it is step 1, but communicating it is step 2. Most people never make it to step 2. But today we're going to work on both. And don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to read that book. We're just going to dust off the shelf and see what's there. But before we go any further, I want to be clear about something. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a financial advisor. What I am is someone who has lived through the gap between having love and having a plan, and has learned what that gap can cost people left behind. So as we go through these items, I'm going to give you the plain language version, the conversation starter. And then in episode 5, I'm bringing in California-based estate planning attorney, Krista, also known as the estate planning mom, who's going to go into the legal side of things. She's going to walk us through these documents and what they actually mean, what the roles require, how to make sure everything is set up the right way. So think of today as the foundation and then episode 5 as the blueprint. The Future Readiness Check is 15 things your loved ones would wish they knew if something happened to you today. I've organized them into 4 sections: documents and legal, financial, practical and logistics, and relationships, communication, and legacy. All right? Okay, let's start. So item 1, do you have a will? And have you considered whether a trust is right for you? Not started, not in progress, signed, witnessed, and legally valid. A will is something that directs where your assets go after you're gone. And then a trust can go further. And in episode 5, our estate planning attorney is going to break down exactly what that means for your family. But here's what that can look like in real life. Imagine your parent passes away. There's no will. Nobody knows who gets the house, who gets the savings, who gets the jewelry that had been in the family for 3 generations. Now your family has to go to court, and the court decides, not you, not your family, a judge who has never met any of you. Or imagine the opposite, where there is a will, there's clear instructions, everyone knows what was wanted. The family still grieves, but they're not fighting. They're not guessing. They have something to stand on. That is the difference a will makes. To take a step forward, if you don't have a will, search for an estate planning attorney in your state. And if you already have one, make sure at least one person you trust knows where it is. Okay, let's move on to item number 2. Do you have a power of attorney? That is someone you legally designate to make financial and legal decisions on your behalf, not after you're gone, but if you become unable to make them while you're still alive. Here's what that can look like in real life. Your parent has a stroke. They are alive, but they cannot communicate. The mortgage needs to be paid. The bills are piling up. Their pension cannot be accessed. And nobody has legal authority to do that, not even the spouse in some cases, without a power of attorney. So the family now has to go to court to get that authority. That takes time. It costs money. And in the meantime, life keeps moving. A power of attorney prevents all of that. And so a step forward is having a conversation with someone you trust. Ask them, if something happened to me and I couldn't speak for myself, would you be willing to step in? That conversation is step 1. All right. Item 3, do you have a healthcare directive or living will? What do you want if you cannot actually speak for yourself? What kind of care? What measures taken or not taken? Who do you trust to make those calls? Now, here's what that can look like in real life. A family member is in the ICU. The doctors are asking, do you want us to continue life support? And the family is standing in the hallways in shock, trying to make a decision they were never prepared for. And every person in that hallway that was asked that question had a different answer, because nobody ever asked them the question when it could have been answered. A healthcare directive removes all that. It removes that impossible burden from the people you love. So for this one, write down 3 things you would want if you were in a medical emergency and could not speak. Number 1, who do you trust to speak for you? Number 2, what kind of care do you want? And number 3, what would you not want? Just 3 things, start there. All right, let's go to item 4. Have you designated an executor? And if you have a trust, have you named a trustee? An executor carries out your wishes through your will. A trustee manages who's held in your trust. Krista's going to explain all that in episode 5. She calls those your financial agents. And she's going to break down exactly what she means and how to choose the right person and the conversation most people never have. But here's what that can look like in real life. Someone passes, their will names an executor, but that person only finds out for the very first time in the middle of their grief that they had been the one chosen, and they have no idea what to do. They don't know where the documents are. They don't know who to call. They were never prepared because the conversation never happened, or worse, there was no executor named at all. And now the court appoints someone who may not even be in your family, someone who may not even share your values. So here's what I want you to do with this one. Think about one person in your life who is organized, calm under pressure. That's very important. Calm under pressure and trustworthy. And write that person's name down. And then, before anything else, ask them if they would be okay in this position. All right, we're moving on to section 2, item 5. Do your loved ones know where your financial accounts are? Not just that they exist, but where they are, how to access them, your bank accounts, your retirement accounts, your investment accounts. Here's what this looks like in real life. Someone passes away. Their family knows that they had a retirement account somewhere, but they don't know which institution. They don't know what account number. They spend months, sometimes years, trying to track it down. Sometimes they never even find it. I read somewhere that in the US alone, billions of dollars sit in unclaimed accounts every year because families simply didn't know where to look. Now let that sit. You have worked so hard all of these years, and something happens to you, and now your family has no access to everything you've built because you never communicated. So here's what I want you to do. Write down every financial institution where you have an account, not just the names. Put it somewhere your trusted person can find it. That list alone could save your family months of searching. Okay? Do you have life insurance? And if you do, does your family know? Do they know where the policy is? Do they know who to call? Do they know how to file a claim? Here's what that can look like in real life. Someone passes away and leaves behind an insurance policy worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But their family never knew that it existed. Nobody ever told them. The policy lapses, and then the money is never claimed. The family struggles financially for years, while the money that was meant to protect them sits uncollected. A policy nobody knows about never gets used. So to take a step forward on this one is, if you have life insurance, tell one person that it exists, where the policy document is, and the name of the insurance company. That's it. Just one person, and do those 3 things. Item 7, do you have outstanding debt your family should know about? Mortgages, loans, credit cards. Here's what that can look like in real life. When someone passes away, their family assumes everything is settled. Then letters start arriving in the mail. A credit card nobody knew about, a personal loan, a second mortgage. Debt doesn't disappear when someone passes. It becomes part of the estate. And so when families are already navigating grief, a financial surprise can feel devastating. And so in order to take a step forward on this one, just make a simple list of all of your debt, mortgage, car payments, credit cards, any loans that you have. You don't have to share it with everyone. Just make sure one trusted person knows that it exists and knows where to find it. Number 8, are your beneficiary designations current and correct? I want you to really hear this one because it surprises people every single time. Your retirement accounts and your life insurance policies pass directly to whoever is named as the beneficiary, completely outside of your will or your trust. So here's what that can look like. If someone gets divorced, they update their will to leave everything to their children, let's say. But then they forget to update the beneficiary designation on their retirement account. That account still lists their ex-spouse on the account, and then they pass away. Their ex-spouse receives the entire retirement account. Their children receive nothing from it, no matter what the trust or the will said. The beneficiary designation won. And so, in order to take a step forward on this one, log into one retirement account or insurance policy this week, just one. Check who is named as the beneficiary. If it's already outdated, contact the institution and ask how to update it. That's one action that can protect everything. This is a simple, honest checklist. No score, no judgment, just a clear picture of where you stand and a place for you to start. So check what you have, circle what you don't, and let it sit with you. All right, so now let's move on to the practical and logistics. Number 9, does someone you trust know where your important documents are? Your will, your trust documents, your insurance policies, your property deeds, your birth certificate, your passport. Here's what that can look like in real life. Someone passes away. The family knows that a will was created years ago, but nobody knows where it is. They search the house. They don't know what attorney was used. They check every drawer, every filing cabinet, every box in the garage. Weeks pass. Sometimes the document is never found. And the family now has to navigate everything without it. Having documents is step 1. Telling someone where it is step 2. So a step forward on this one is to pick one important document and just put it in a folder. Tell one person where that folder is. That's it. And you can add to it over time, but just start with one. Item number 10. Does someone know your digital passwords and accounts? Email, banking, social media, subscriptions. Here's what that can look like in real life. Someone passes away and they want access to their email to notify their contacts. They want to close all of their social media accounts and turn them into memorials. They want to cancel those streaming subscriptions that are still getting charged every month. But they have no passwords, no way in. And getting access to a deceased person's digital accounts is a lengthy, complicated process that many families never complete. So let's take a step forward on this one and write down our most important passwords and store them somewhere secure. A locked document, a password manager, a sealed envelope with papers, whatever makes sense for you. Just make sure one trusted person knows how to access it when they need it. Number 11, have you made your end of life wishes known? Do you want a burial or a cremation? Service preferences. What do you want or what would you not want? Here's what that can look like in real life. A family's planning a funeral. One sibling wants a traditional burial. Another one wants cremation. The third one has strong religious preferences. Nobody knows what their loved one actually wanted because the conversation never happened. And now, in the middle of the most painful moments of their lives, they're arguing about it. That argument is not about the funeral. It's about grief, and it never had to happen. So to take a step forward on this one, tell one person, your spouse, your child, your sibling, what you would want, burial or cremation, big service or small service, religious or not. Just say it out loud once to one person. Going to the relationships, communication, and legacy section. Item number 12. Have you had a real conversation with your family about what you have and what you want? Not a formal meeting, not a legal document, but a conversation. And here's what that can look like in real life. Every item we've talked about today, every document, every account, every designation means nothing if people who need to know don't know. I have heard from families who have everything in place, every box checked, and when the moment came, nobody could find anything. Nobody had been told where to look, who to call, what to do. The conversation is the preparation. That's it. So to move forward on this one, to take one step forward on this one, just pick one person this week and tell them what they need to know if something happened to you. Just one thing. That conversation is the beginning. Moving on to number 13. Do your loved ones know who to call first if anything happened to you? Is it the attorney? Is it your financial advisor? Is it your insurance company? Is it your employer? What this actually looks like in real life is this. Someone passes away on a Tuesday morning, let's say, and by Tuesday afternoon, the family's already being asked to make decisions. The funeral home needs to be contacted. The employer needs to be notified. The insurance company needs to be called. But nobody has a list. Nobody knows the attorney's name that developed the documents. Nobody knows where the financial advisor's number is. And in a state of complete shock, they're Googling and guessing. One-page list, names, roles, numbers. That is the gift. And so to move forward on this item, I would love for us to please create a contact list, a simple one. Attorney, doctor, financial advisor, insurance company, employer. 5 contacts, 1 page, and just store it somewhere with your most important documents. Moving on to 14. If you have any children, listen close. Is there a designated guardian in writing? Not assumed, not discussed once over dinner and then never revisited. Legally documented and communicated to the person you've chosen. Because here's what that can look like in real life. A couple with 2 young kids die in a car accident. They talked once years ago about who would raise the kids if something happened, but they never wrote it down. Both sides of the family then come forward, but they disagree. Then the children end up in temporary care while the court decides. The family fractures, and the children who have just lost both parents are now caught in the middle. This is not a rare story. It happens more than anyone wants to admit. And so a step forward here is to have one conversation with your partner or with a trusted family member this week. If something happened to both of us, who we would want to raise our children? Write that name down, even informally, and just start there. Because even agreeing on who those names should be sometimes could take a little bit of discussion. Now let's move on to number 15. Have you told the people you love what you want your legacy to be? Not just financially, but the values you want passed down, the stories you want told, the things you want your children to carry forward. So here's what that can look like in real life. Someone passes away, their family does everything right. The will is in place, the documents are organized, the accounts are accessible, and yet there is a hollowness because nobody ever sat down and said, this is who I am, this is what I believe, this is what I want you to remember, this is what I want to teach children. The documents protect what you've built. The legacy letter protects where you were. Legacy isn't a document. It's not in a bank account. It's everything you meant to say. So have you said it? I don't know. Let's take a step forward on this one too and write one thing you would want people you love to know about you. Not what you own, not who you are. One sentence. That's the beginning of your legacy letter. All right. So now let's take a deep breath. Have you checked every box? If so, that's wonderful. Your job now is to make sure that the people around you get there too. But maybe you checked some boxes, but not others. Now you know exactly where to focus. Or maybe the documents exist, but nobody knows where they are, sitting on a shelf. That is not failure. That's just step 2 waiting to happen. And maybe you're starting from 0. That is okay. Most people listening right now are in the exact same place. So knowing where you stand is the first step to changing it. So before your move of the week, let me just quickly tell you what's ahead. Episode 4 is our very, very first guest episode. 2 chairs, 1 conversation. My guest lost her mom suddenly, and what she shares about how people show up or don't show up after loss is something I have not been able to stop thinking about. And then in episode 5, as I mentioned earlier, I am bringing in California-based estate attorney. Her name is Krista, also known as the estate planning mom, who is going to walk us through what she calls the big 5 documents, the roles every estate plan requires, and the questions listeners have been asking since day 1. That episode is going to go deep on everything I intentionally kept surface level today. So subscribe now so you don't miss either one. All right, here's your shifted on purpose move of the week. This week, just one thing. Look at the Future Readiness Check. Find one item that your gut is already telling you needs the most attention. Not all 15, just one. Maybe it's starting a will. Maybe it's checking on your beneficiary designations. Maybe it's a conversation you've been putting off. Whatever it is, take one step towards it this week, because the people you love deserve more than your assumptions. One step, one intention, one shift. Thank you for being here for episode 3 on Shifted on Purpose. And if something on this list stirred something in you, please write to the show. I read everything. Email address is hello@shiftedonpurpose.com. It's also going to be in the show notes. And if someone came to mind while you were listening today, share this episode with them. Sometimes a podcast starts the conversation a phone call never could. So take care of yourself, check on your loved ones, and start having those conversations because the shift starts now. Thank you so much and see you next week. Bye.